it doesn't always come up. If you had blood tests done, it might all look normal. And this is the problem that I see time and time again is people going to the doctors, they have their labs done and they come back and they go, well, I've been told everything's normal. And I'm like, well, firstly, what was tested? Were they thorough tests and were they optimal? Because there's a difference between normal and optimal.
I feel like progesterone is the forgotten hormone that people don't really value. It's like we all talk about estrogen, which is super important, but progesterone is so important too. Like so important. It's like the yin to estrogen's yang. That
and
calming.
The fact that when you've had a hysterectomy, they then say, oh, you don't need progesterone. And you're like, well, it does more than just the lining of the womb.
This is it. And the amount of women I've spoken to who've had hysterectomies and then just been put on estrogen, I'm like, no, we need to oppose that with some progesterone. Just because it's not, you haven't got a womb anymore, that doesn't mean that progesterone wasn't doing just keeping the uterine lining healthy. It does so much. You know, is that women who struggle the most during menopause are normally women who, there can be a genetic component, of course, but a lot of the time it's women who have been very high stress, go, type A personalities that struggle more. And that's because during menopause, our adrenal glands, which are the glands that produce our cortisol, one of our stress hormones, actually have the capability of producing some of our sex hormones. However, if you're someone who's been, running on adrenaline constantly, your cortisol is all over the place, you've been pushing it, then those adrenal glands are like, do you know what? I have got nothing left. I've been too busy making all this cortisol. I haven't got time and energy to make sex hormones for you. So that means your hormones are naturally going to be a lot lower than they would be if your adrenal glands were up to scratch. Now, of course, as well, when we have, high stressed lives, it disrupts every single system.
Doctors are not trained in this. Often,
I wish you.
Because
it is crazy, but it's the unfortunate thing of, when someone trains as a doctor and it's not their fault, they're not trained in anything to do with nutrition. They're trained in, here's this illness and here's a pill for that illness.
Yeah.
So it's not preventative care for a start, and it's then only like, right, we've got a pill to deal with that thing, but we're not looking at the body as a whole. We're not looking at all the systems interacting with each other. And this is the problem again when we have specialists in one area, like, for example, a gynecologist or whatever it is. You can't compartmentalize one system of the body, because the reality is it's the other systems of the body that might be impacting that system in the first place. So it's like we have to look at people as a whole, and we have to look at it from a very holistic point of view and a functional point of view of looking at all of the systems of the body. And unfortunately, the immune system is one of those things that doesn't necessarily show up in testing because it lives in tissue.
So the interesting thing with our metabolism is I think many women think, oh, my metabolism slows down. I hit 40 and all of a sudden my metabolism slowed down, or I went through menopause and all of a sudden my metabolism was just shot. That's actually not true. Your metabolism doesn't slow down. So it's been scientifically proven that it doesn't actually change until you're about 60. And then only then it declines by about 1% per year. So really not very dramatic. But what we need to think about is what systems are impacting the metabolism. So when we have that disruption in our hormones, like I mentioned, the immune system will be part of that. Because if the immune system is upregulated, that's going to stop your body being able to enter that fat burning state and use it, and you become less sensitive to insulin when your immune system is upregulated and you're stuck in that sugar burning state. So we need to be really mindful about insulin and living an insulin sensitive lifestyle when we go through menopause, because that loss of estrogen can drive more insulin resistance. And when the immune system is upregulated too, you've kind of got a bit of a double whammy there. So yeah, that's one of the things that will impact the metabolism. So it's knowing that your metabolism isn't broken, but we need to look at the systems that are driving the metabolism to not be in its best place. One of the things I see time and time again is women who have been chronically dieting for far too long, women who have been cutting carbs for far too long, women have been over fasting for far too long. They're the ones that struggle the most. So if you've got a real dieting history, that can often really impact the metabolism when we're going into menopause, because it's like the body has already adapted. Our metabolism will adapt to what we give it. So if you've been chronically under eating for a really long time, and unfortunately a lot of women don't even realize that they have been doing that, because they maybe go on to something like MyFitnessPal and start tracking their calories, and MyFitnessPal tells them, well, 1,200 calories is what you need. Here's how you eat 1,200 calories. And it's like, A child eats 1,200 calories. Of course, you're a grown woman. You need more than 1,200 calories to survive and for your systems of your body to work properly. So if you've chronically been doing that, if we go back to those pathways that I mentioned, so the mTOR and the AMPK. So the way we get into this AMPK pathway is by caloric restriction, fasting, going keto, low carb. But the problem is, if you do those things for too long, your body is far too clever. And it goes, no, you've been doing this too much. I'm flipping you out. Because